And we are rolling on May 15th, 2018, here at UCLA, where it's a beautiful day. The sunshine is shining. Look at that outside, folks. Isn't such an amazing day? We're so lucky to have such a beautiful campus. We're blessed, truly blessed. And today, we're going to hear from Alex, who's going to share with us a personal commitment speech. He stands before us, managing attention in the power stance, nicely put, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to himself, I respect my audience, and really meaning it, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
The past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Nearly all of you have heard this before, because it's from The Lion King. It was said by Rafiki, the baboon. And what he says carries a lot of truth and resonates closely with me because of my tendencies to dwell in the past. And not only is it important to think about it in relation to the past, but also in relation to the future, because it can hurt just as much to spend your days thinking about what will happen next. And for this reason, I want to share with you all why I'm personally committed to living my life as much in the present as I can. I'd like to share with you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to this, and 3 actions I've taken to help achieve this personal commitment. The reason I'm sharing this with you today is because it is something that we should all strive to improve upon. It is challenging, yes, but with the proper motivation and initiative, it is something we can all achieve. Now, the first reason I'm personally committed to living in the present is because of the pain that I felt as a result of holding on to my past too closely. Last summer, my friend was killed in the crossfire of gang violence back in DC. Her name is Jamari Sidney, and she was 2 weeks away from being the first in her family to go to college before her life was taken by a bullet. I've known her since I was 7 years old, and since her death, it took me months before I could even go back to my daily routine. And even today, I still think about her every day. I've been told, however, that the best way to push forward is to take things and take my mind away from the day that she was killed and bring it to the present and bring her with me as a memory and a part of who I am. And that way I can grow stronger and live in the present knowing that she'll be with me until the day that I die. The second reason I'm personally committed to living in the present is because I end up missing opportunities if I focus too much on the consequences in the aftermath. If I find myself spending time living in the future, I'll never be able to look back and appreciate how far I've come. Growing up, I fell in love and I developed a strong passion for gymnastics. And I spent my middle school years and my high school years training with the sole goal of going to the Olympics one day. I competed against gymnasts from all over the world, and my competitive atmosphere wouldn't let me accept anything less than gold. But when things got more complicated and I started learning more complex skills, it began to mess with my mental space. And I saw my teammates suffer gruesome injuries competing and practicing the same skills that I was trying to learn myself. And my mental space became overwhelmed with the thoughts of what might happen if I messed up and the potential consequences if I fell and hurt myself. And I found myself losing the ability to take things one step at a time. And I found myself only living in the future. And this mindset eventually made me quit gymnastics because I found myself making no progress towards my goal. And quitting is one of the biggest regrets I have because of all the opportunities that I missed as a result. I'd now like to share with you 3 actions I've taken to achieve my goal of living more in the present. First, I've started allowing myself to think a little more with my heart and less with my brain sometimes. In this way, I can tap into my more emotional side and focus on what's going on in a given moment, at the given time. Second, I've focused on trying to set daily goals and focusing on my immediate tasks instead of things in the long term. In this way, I can keep myself organized, and it can help balance out the challenges that might come with always living in the present. And third, I focused on trying to be a little more impulsive. And I try to make decisions without necessarily thinking about all the consequences every time. In this way, I can live my life a little more spontaneously. And I can do so without having to figure out why I'm doing things and always think about the consequences and the aftermath, especially for decisions that are so, that carry no weight with them.
Sorry, Alex.
No worries.
I'm very rude.
And since I've begun trying these actions, it has made me feel more relaxed. I've been able to focus on my task at hand, take things one step at a time, and it's made my life ultimately less stressful. I'm able to hold on to my memories of the past to help me become the best that I can be. And I'm able to use a vision of the future to help take things one step at a time in order to succeed. In summary, I've shown you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to living in the present, and 3 actions I've taken to help achieve this goal. At this point, there should be no doubt in the room that I'm personally committed to living in the present. The past can hurt, but the way I see it, the only option is to learn from it. In The Lion King, when Simba learned to step out of the past and into the present, he became the king that he was always meant to be. And that's why I know that the only way I can be the best that I can be is if I learn to live a little more in the present. Thank you.
Thank you. Which side do we start on before? This side? This side? Okay. Hello.
My name's Viviana.
What's
Hi,
your
Viviana.
name?
Viviana.
Viviana. Hi, Viviana.
I loved your speech. I think it was relatable. I think it was very, very personal to you, and I could see how the emotions got to you. And I think you had vocal variety, and you were very confident. You knew, your entire speech. So I think it was amazing.
Yes. I hope I've talked about the razor's edge in here, right? About not falling off when you get emotional. Have I not talked about that? No? Yeah. When we get emotional, it's easy to be overcome by the emotion and almost stop our speech. And if we just keep it going, it's like walking the razor's edge. You don't want to fall off into complete emotionality where you're just gone, or you don't want to fall to the left into rationality where you have no emotion. You want to be right in between. You take a moment to gather your feelings, experience it, and carry on, which is what you did. You walked the razor's edge, which was very nice. So, thank you for that. So, how can he improve?
Hi everyone, I'm Daisy.
Hi, Daisy.
I also really loved your speech. I could tell you really knew it, and I thought it was really revealing, and it flowed really well. I really don't have anything negative to say aside from one of the times you moved, you weren't speaking as you moved, but that's really the only thing.
That's right. That's good you noticed that. Yes, I was going to talk about that, but thank you for noticing that. Were you aware of that? You were walking and not talking? Yeah. Minor point, but we want to walk and talk. It's, it's good. Alex, really good speech. Really liked it. You started with the Lion King and Rafiki, and I wish when you start with a heavy quote like the past can hurt, give it a beat, let it sink in. You went, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, see what I mean? And we had to say, oh, the past can hurt. We had to process it fast. So look at the meaning of what you're trying to communicate and let it sink in. So I looked for a little pause there. I was chuckling to myself because I thought it was a good introduction. I was thinking, is this going to be a film speech? But then I thought, no, this is a perfect introduction for what you're about to do, talking about the present. Your thesis was spot on. Your significance statement was particularly good because you said with proper motivation, and I might add practice, but you have to want to be here now and be in the now. If you don't, you're whistling in the graveyard. So I thought your significance statement was very good. So your first reason, you talked about your friend who was killed in the crossfire of gang violence in Washington, D.C. And you were overcome by your feeling of the loss. And that was good. And you talked about how you don't go a day without thinking about that and remembering the situation, right? And that's okay, as long as you do it mindfully in the now, Voltaire said God gave us a memory so we could have roses in December. So you can also remember the sweet things about your friend and other things, not just the tragic end, right? So you have a choice to, remember good things too, right? So, but you injected a very strong sense of emotion, which I thought really, going back to our text of stickiness, made the speech particularly sticky. It really drew us in, and that was good, yeah. On your second reason, you talked about worrying about the future, and you shared with us something very personal and private. You told us that you wanted to be a Olympic level gymnast, and then you started looking at your friends becoming injured at trying some advanced techniques, and you started spooking yourself thinking, this could happen to me, and I don't want this to happen to me, so I quit. And you said you've been kicking yourself ever since for your, cowardness or your, whatever you want to call it, your caution in the situation. And you talked about it being a really big regret. That was sharing a very personal and private thing with us. And so that was a good, authentic moment. And I liked that. That was good. Now, on your actions, you said first, I've started allowing myself to think more with my heart and less with my brain. This way I can tap into my more emotional side and keep myself focused on what is going on in the present. That is a pretty good start. If you're real serious about this approach, I was in India in the 60s, and I studied with a man there who wrote a book called Be Here Now. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. His name was Baba Ram Das. But it's still around, and it has exercises in it for not focusing in the future or going to the past. It has exercises for being in the now. So you might want to take a look at that. On your second, you said, I practice setting daily goals instead of thinking about immediate tasks and long-term things. That keeps you organized and keeps you in the day and not in the week or the month or something. That's good. And thirdly, you said you're trying to be more spontaneous. I like that word a little better than impulsive, but yeah. And so, yeah, I have a funny story about, I just heard from him, in fact. I had a young man on my debating team who was the epitome of non-spontaneity. He went on to become the dean of the law school at Michigan. Very disciplined, didn't get any grade but A's since the 7th grade. And I once said to him, I said, Evan, you need to loosen up a little. He showed me his calendar. He had every hour and every 15 minutes blocked out in his life. And I said, Evan, this is really structured. Can't you chill out a little? He said, yeah, Professor Miller, you're right. He says, flip through the page, he says, on Wednesday from 4:30 to 5, he wrote it in, be spontaneous. Okay, Evan, good luck. But he wasn't going to change, and he decided this was the way that got him where he was and where he wanted to go. On how you feel, it was good. You said you feel more relaxed, and you said you feel that you're feeling less stressful, and that was good that you had your fourth point in there and you didn't forget it. Some people do. They forget that fourth point of going back to their feelings and putting feeling. That's where you get more emotions back in the speech. Your summary was good. Conclusion was good. And the tie back to your quote, the past can hurt. Again, step, block, quote, pause. But I see there's a way to learn from it and then go on with your introduction. So overall, really excellent job. Just make some small changes, but this was an authentic, personal commitment speech. Thank you. Okay. Do we have another C?
5:20, I'll be fine, Professor.
What?
5 minutes and 20 seconds.
5 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, that was pretty close. Okay, no more C's? Oh, yeah, sure. I see you in my peripheral vision, so I guess it's your turn. Okay. Okay, good, yeah. Okay, we got a little taller, so you're fine, stay there, yeah, that's good, yeah. I just made a bad adjustment. I think just a moment, please. You ready, sir? And we are rolling. You're standing nicely in the power stance. You're communicating respect non-verbally. You're thinking to yourself as you look around the room. I respect my audience. All phones and computers are closed and away. Yes, good. You find friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, my name is Chang.
Hi, Chung.
Like many people, I want to have as many friends as possible and as few enemies as possible. But this is a tricky goal because it's hard to find everyone pleasing and it's even harder to please everyone. However, as Abraham Lincoln said, do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? It is up to us to define who our friends and enemies are. And seeing the best in people is one way to make friends instead of enemies. Today, I want to share with you my personal commitment to see the best in people. I'll share with you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to view others positively and 3 actions that I'll take to achieve this. So, everybody talks about changing the world for the better, but it sounds like an overwhelming task. You may be interested to hear how seeing the best in people can draw out the best in them and in turn help you change the world one person at a time. The first reason that I'm personally committed to seeing the best in people is that people tend to give their best selves when you view them positively. A few weeks ago, my father called me to tell me that he suspected that my 13-year-old brother Tim had stolen money, and my father wanted to cane him. But I know from experience that caning is a negative experience that only focuses on the child's wrongdoing instead of his capacity for change. And so I persuaded my father otherwise, and he agreed. And so over Skype, Tim was trying so hard to maintain a straight face that he let the cat out of the bag. He was clearly guilty. But I reminded myself that my brother was much more than his act of stealing, and my faith in him allowed me to avoid accusing him and instead understand his motivations and express concern of his well-being. And after over an hour of gentle probing, my brother finally admitted to stealing money to get a new pair of soccer gloves. He was a goalkeeper. And I feel vindicated that seeing the best in my brother allowed him to face his mistakes. And I'm hopeful that this approach would help me be a better mentor for my brother. The second reason why I'm personally committed to seeing the best in others is that it spreads joy and motivates giving. I experienced this firsthand when I was traveling solo around Florence, Italy. I was on a really tight budget, so I purchased a box of salad at the supermarket, and I declined when the cashier offered me a set of utensils of 125 euros. I was embarrassed, but the lady behind me offered to pay for my utensils. I was surprised, I was elated, but I politely declined, but she looked at me and said, "Please pay it forward." I felt a sense of gratitude and inspiration because she could have seen me as a pathetic miser who couldn't afford a set of utensils, but instead she chose to see the best in me. She trusted that I was willing and able to spread kindness, and that really made me want to prove her right. And so whenever I recall this incident, I feel empowered to see the best in others so that others can spread the joy and also will feel motivated to give. Having told you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to seeing the best in others, let me now share 3 actions I've taken to achieve this. Firstly, I've practiced trying to imagine myself in the shoes of others. So for example, when I saw the staff at LAX Customs curtly herding the passengers, I imagined to myself how it would be like to manage a crowd for hours every day. And this practice helped me empathize with them instead of judging them for what they do. Secondly, I've tried to be less calculated. I tend to weigh the pros and cons of all the decisions I make, but being over-analytical has hindered me from seeing the best in people. And so I'm learning to trust that treating people kindly would enable them to pass on the kindness and spread a positive ripple effect to many other people. And finally, I'm practicing mindfulness to extend this commitment to individuals who seem, let's just say, obnoxious. So I count to 5, breathing in, and then I count to 5, breathing out. And this allows me to bypass my fight and flight mechanism that is better suited to combat saber-toothed tigers than unpleasant people. And so having a clear frame of mind will better allow me to see the goodness in people. And after trying out all these actions, I feel emotionally exhausted, but in a good way, like how I feel after having a good workout. because exercising my empathy muscle has allowed me to forge closer and more positive bonds with people in my life. In summary, I've told you about 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to seeing the best in others and 3 actions I've taken to achieve this. There should be no doubt in this room that I really am personally committed to viewing others charitably. Not just in people who are successful and likable, but also in those who are strangers, who have done wrong and who seem unpleasant. As of today, I haven't had the misfortune of meeting someone who seems to exist solely to torment me, but should I meet such a person, I will take a deep breath, remember the words of a legendary statesman, and extend a hand of friendship, because do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? Here.
Hey everyone, I'm Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
I really enjoyed your speech. It was very structured. You knew it very well, and you completed all the steps, moving around the room. So, yeah, good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Hi, I'm Mira.
Hi, Mira.
I thought you delivered it really well. Maybe the only thing is when you're telling your stories to show a little more feeling and
Mhm.
emotion.
So, to you, Mira, it was a little mechanical when you're telling the stories. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Just a little.
Okay, that's fair. That's honest. Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Chang, yes, good. Different approach. I like this very much. It was a different personal commitment. And you started with Abraham Lincoln with his novel idea, do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friend? So if we could get a little slower on these quotes, the same thing I was saying to Mr. What is his name? Joyce Johnson or Johnson Joyce? Yeah. If we can slow down on the, big quote so we can let the meaning sink in, that would be good. Yeah. So you said, I want to see the best in people. And this is a great defining personal characteristic to promote in yourself. Because I don't think many of us act that way. I've known many people that are real pessimistic and really expect the worst in people and see the worst in people and expect the worst in people. So this was, a fresh approach. So I like that. On your thesis, you said you wanted to see the best in others, 2 reasons and 3 actions, so well done. I like the way you couched your significance statement as, well, gosh, when you think about changing the world, it seems like an impossible task. But if you think about it as, one person at a time, one good deed at a time, one plane it forward at a time, then one act of kindness, one act of understanding at a time, as you put it, then it seems more doable. So I think you gave your audience a good significant statement and a good, feeling that it was almost a persuasive speech, that maybe they could do this too. On your main body. Here we go with, you used the word caning. I guess that means beating or whipping or belting. What's caning? Is that belting or
Oh, yeah.
smashing or with
Just
your
hitting.
hand or with a belt or with a
It's
cane?
with a wooden.
A wooden cane?
Yeah.
Oh, wooden cane. Yeah. Ooh, boy. That would hurt. A wooden cane, huh?
It's a thing. They sell it everywhere in Singapore,
Oh, they do.
and usually parents like tie a few together with rubber bands.
Oh, two of them
Yeah.
together.
I mean, it's a thing.
Okay.
It's not like
I have some students on my debate team from Singapore. I'll have to ask them if they've ever been caned.
Yeah.
Okay, so good. I'm glad I asked. So your dad wanted to cane your brother. How old is he?
13 years old.
13 years old, yeah. Yeah, and you talked your dad out of it, I guess, and you talked to your brother, and through your talking to him, got him to fess up to the crime. Now, did he, well, it wasn't clear to me, did he also fess up to your dad? Did he tell your father?
Oh yes, it was a conversation.
It was a conversation. And then did he still get caned or no? So there was forgiveness in the sense. So your intervention was a positive thing because your father felt that since he admitted it that this was good. Okay. So I guess you could have told the story a little clearer. Or maybe I need to be a better listener. But anyway. Okay, so that was your first reason that you told us that you feel that you're able to intervene in some situations and have a positive outcome. Is that sort of your first reason? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Yeah, okay. On your second reason, and I love this story, you were in Florence. And they wanted you to pay €125 for a set of utensils. Otherwise, you have to eat it with your fingers or something. Yeah, that's it. And the lady behind you said, "I'll pay for it," and you said no. And I want to say one thing. There is something about learning to accept acts of kindness from others. If you're giving them, you want people to accept them, so you need to learn to accept them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you did accept it, right? You did allow her to.
Because she insisted.
She insisted, yeah. Well, that's good. One of the things that I taught my children is when we cross the Golden Gate Bridge or any bridge, I always pay for the people behind us.
Oh.
And they go, "Why are you doing that?" I go, "Just, a random act of kindness." And my kids are always looking back and going, "Oh," to see the reaction. But, it's another idea of a way to, just playing it forward, right? Yeah. So you felt empowered in that situation because she said play it forward. I've had many opportunities like this where people have helped me out and I said, "Could I pay you? Could I do something for you?" And they said, "No, but the next time you see somebody broken down, stop. You help them. You play it forward." So this is an old idea of passing along the kindness. So it was. I like the way you ended it by saying you felt empowered. So that was good. Yeah. On your actions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. LAX, boy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some of those custom staffs can be tough. But you say, you understand it's a hard job, and so you give them empathy. Is that essentially what you practice doing? And I didn't get your second one about being less calculative. instead of saying what I have to lose or gain, you just say I'm going to do it anyway. So is that your point? I'm not going to worry about do I get something out of it. Okay. On your practicing mindfulness, I think that's a great idea and a great thing to do. I hope you don't just practice it in just stressful situations, but in other situations, because it's a great technique to put yourself, center yourself. Why does this emotionally exhaust you? I was puzzled by that, to be doing this. Is it that hard?
Because it's deliberate.
It's
And,
deliberate,
It
yeah.
requires you to
So you
kind of
really
like stop yourself in your tracks.
Oh, I
when
see.
you're-
You really have to work at it.
Mhm.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay. Your summary was fine. Your conclusion was good. And going back to Abraham Lincoln again, I would have liked the quote to be spread out, and it's a great quote. So say it slow, so it really jumps out at us and is a great ending. Your canais were to minimize the usage of fillers, to include more vocal variety, and to pause to signal transition, and to emphasize key ideas. How did your canais go today?
I think I didn't really say a lot of fillers, so that's good. I think I could do with a bit more vocal variety. I think I was focusing too much on the points of the speech, so that could have distracted me from that. And in terms of pausing, I may have been rushing a little bit, and so I may have the impression of pausing, but that may not be clear enough for the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the time?
5 minutes and 35 seconds.
5:35. So you were trying to get this into the time frame. I think this was a pretty simple speech. What did you have in here that you put in that was unexpected?
The lady paying for
The
my
lady
pencil.
paying for your thing. That was good. That was a real good story. I thought you were credible. You were sincere. I believed your stories. So that evidence was good. I feel that you were mostly concrete and not too abstract in your presentation. What about your emotional connection? I think this is a little bit of what you were getting at. What about making that? Okay, take it outside, babe. What about the emotional connection?
Maybe I could have varied my vocal range, maybe my volume, to
Yeah.
convey like a contrast in terms of emotional tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that if you remember your emotion after you intervened with your brother getting caned or almost getting caned, and you remembered how good you felt, and you could have done the felt sensing there, that would have been a strong emotional time. Otherwise, you had a good story with the caning and a good story with the lady buying you the utensils. So that was good. So this was a good speech. I think I agree a little bit with Mara that you needed to just edit this a little bit so that you could, have had less slowed down, but had less to say, but say it more slowly and convincingly. Otherwise, a very good job. Thank you. Okay, we have another C on deck. Hello.
Hi.
that's nice. Yeah, okay. Right, what's the last color I used? Red. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Boy, my, you're a different height. Okay, good. Hang on a minute, Connie. Let me fix this. What's I gonna fix? Okay, can you? Okay. Okay, like that. All right, Connie stands in the power stance. She's managing making sure. Oh, is that computer open over there? Close that computer. Oh my God.
I was just trying to.
Oh, you're charging, so it has to stay open?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Communicating respect non-verbally. Saying to yourself, I respect my audience. I'm really meaning it. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Connie.
Hi, Connie.
A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. That quote was said by Mark Twain, the author of the very well-known novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And I want to begin by reiterating how true this is, because before you begin to do anything in life, what matters the most is whether you approve of yourself and whether you are satisfied with yourself. Confidence is key in life. And in life, confidence is the defining attitude, which makes the difference between a king and a peasant. So, today I want to talk to you about my personal commitment to having confidence within myself. I want to give you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to having self-confidence, and 3 actions I have taken to demonstrate having confidence in myself. And I know this is important because self-confidence is something that a lot of people struggle with in their life, and they may never show their struggles with this. So I hope that by communicating my own personal stories of struggling with self-confidence, it can resonate with everyone and hopefully encourage everyone to take steps towards building their own self-confidence. So first, I want to begin by telling you the first reason that I have personally committed myself to having self-confidence. And the first reason is that I want to have self-confidence because I don't want to miss out on any more opportunities. When I was in 8th grade, I had the chance to submit one of my essays into a school-wide writing competition and potentially expose my writing to a bigger audience and have maybe awards or improve my writing. However, I refused. I refused because I was insecure about my writing, and I was scared of what other people would say when they read it, and I was scared of being criticized and scrutinized. And this is a choice that I really regret because I could have missed out on essentially potential awards, potential prestige, and potentially improving my own writing. So because I missed out on these opportunities, I felt really remorseful about what I could have done. And this is why I feel very strongly committed to having my personal commitment to self-confidence, so that I won't miss out on any more opportunities like this in the future. So the second reason that I feel personally committed to having self-confidence is so I can protect myself. When I was younger, I was subject to getting bullied and teased by a lot of my peers because I was of a different ethnicity. And because I looked different from other people, they found it in themselves to call me things like ugly and hideous. And the worst part is that I believed them. I believed them because I had no confidence within myself. I wasn't confident of my own appearance or my own person. So I let their words hurt me, and I let their words scar me. If I had confidence within myself, this wouldn't have happened. So I feel very strongly about being personally committed to having self-confidence. So that I won't be able, so that no matter what anyone says to me to damage my self-esteem or obstruct my goals, I will have the confidence in myself to bounce back from that and not let their words affect me. So now I've told you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to having self-confidence. I want to tell you 3 actions that I have taken to achieving that personal commitment. The first action is challenging myself. I challenged myself by making the decision to attend UCLA. When deciding which college to attend, I had the choice between UCLA and UC Irvine, which was where most of my friends were going to. But I made the decision to attend UCLA because I had confidence with my own academic ability to do well in the school, and as well as confidence within myself to meet new friends and meet new people and separate myself from the past and always being insecure of only having one group. So the second action I have taken is trying out new things, such as taking this Comm speech class, because this is something that I never ever would have attempted or even dreamed of in high school. Something like this was unthinkable for me. So because I was insecure about public speaking and I didn't want people to judge me, and I feared of having other people criticize me. So by taking this class, it was really a step in helping me develop confidence in myself and my own speaking skills. And the third action I've taken is to not care about what other people may think of me. I have been wanting to cut my hair for at least 2 years now, ever since junior year of high school. And as some of you may have noticed, in the beginning of this quarter, I made the plunge and I made the decision to finally cut my hair. Because I came to the conclusion that no matter what people think of me, as long as I have the confidence in myself and my own appearance, and I had the confidence to look and feel good about myself, that was really all that mattered. So when I took these actions, it really helped me in cementing my own confidence in myself and made me a happier person because of it. Because I had approval and I was satisfied with myself, so I could move on to do other things with my life. So in summary, I've told you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to having confidence in myself, and 3 actions I have taken to having this self-confidence. There should be no doubt in this room that I really am personally committed to having self-confidence. Going back to Mark Twain's quote, I really do believe that without your own approval, you can never really move forward in your life. Because to love and be appreciative of other people, you have to be appreciative of yourself first. Because you are living your life for yourself and not other people. And with confidence, people have the capacity to do anything they want. To be a king, essentially. And to have confidence is to virtually be unstoppable. So, with these parting words, I want to tell you, be confident. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
Something you did really effectively was vocal variety. So like at the beginning when you wanted to really like get into the speech and grab everyone's attention, you spoke a little louder. And then when you talked about some of the more emotional parts of your speech, you spoke softer to show that it really meant something to you.
Yes. Good point, Spencer. Ruben?
I'm Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
I actually kind of felt like the vocal variety felt a little bit forced, and so like maybe, and like at some points it felt a little kind of like arbitrary. So like maybe trying to like make it more seamless, rather than like it was like to me it felt like a big jump. Like it was like I don't know. It felt like you were trying too hard to do the vocal variety. So. Yeah.
Interesting, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, good. Well, I really like the speech. Can you take a step back? Yeah, thank you. Good. Okay, really like the speech, Connie. I know that you really were sharing a private, personal part of yourself, and that was took some confidence to do that. So I appreciate you doing that. Yeah. So you started with Mark Twain quoting Huckleberry Finn, which, you know, took some courage because, you know, that book is no longer politically correct on this campus. But it's a great book nonetheless. A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. And again, I will say just a little slower so, the message can sink in, the comfortable own approval, so you went on to explain it nicely, though, with confidence makes all the difference. What separates a king from a peasant? Yeah, I guess. So the intro grabbed us. It did what it was supposed to do, and so I like that. Your thesis, confidence in myself. I'm personally committed to having self-confidence. 3 actions that I will demonstrate. 2 reasons and 3 actions. I particularly liked your significance statement because you incorporated the rest of the group into your significance statement in the last part when you said that hopefully this will encourage everyone to take the steps to building their own self-confidence. And this is, by the way, why I have the PC just before the persuasive speech, because I think you can all see that this is very closely related to a persuasive speech, because it's almost like you're saying, at the end you were saying, be confident. That was a persuasive invocation, right? So that was a call to action, and not particularly essential for a PC speech, but it was a good ending. Okay. Let me talk about what the 2 gentlemen in the rear mentioned. Yeah. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, yeah, I see both of their points. You want your technique to be a little more seamless, because it was, I think he was a little bit right. It was, okay, now it's time to be louder. And so, then it zoomed out. So you can kind of ease into it a little bit better, but that will come with time and practice, right? And it'll just become yours and natural as you practice the emphatic style of speaking that I'm trying to teach everybody. It'll just be there for you. But I think you see the point, right? Yeah. Great. On your first reason, you regretted not entering an essay contest in the 8th grade. Wow, that's going way back. And I take it you felt you had a pretty good essay or a pretty good writing ability, and you still agonize over this to this day. And I think we all, I know I do, I have some regrets of not entering certain things, and so I understand the regret and the feeling, and so I thought that was a good revelation. It was authentic, and it was good. So I thought that was well presented. On your second reason, this bullying, I'm going to make a controversial statement. I had a student that was, let me just put it cutely, was a male of the Asian persuasion. He was the only Chinese boy in Redlands, California, at his elementary school and junior high, and then there were a few in his high school. And he was bullied so badly. And they used to do this with the eyes and with the, I'm sure you've had them all and you know them all. But Arthur and his parents, took it a little differently, and they had him sort of make it a challenge to toughen him up and fight back and be a great student and always get great A's, great grades, and he later went on to get a 1600 on the LSAT. He graduated first in Yale Law School. He's a billionaire today. He's laughing at all those punks that made fun of him at the Redlands school system. But he's talked to me about this, and he said, yeah, it was kind of unpleasant being with the eyes and ching chong and all this stuff, but he said, I just got through it, and it toughened me up. It prepared me for later things that I experienced. Now, I'm not advocating bullying, obviously, but I think you kind of know what I'm saying, right? That self-confidence doesn't just come by, you said you want everyone to be self-confident, but you can't just go down to the Rite Aid drugstore and buy a pill that will make you self-confident. It sort of comes with developing competence and, going through things like bullying and coming through strongly with them and achieving some things so that you see you're good at some things, and that helps build your confidence, right? So, I'm not sure but I see your point. If you had more confidence, then if you had some tools to deal with the bullying, perhaps it wouldn't have been so, in your mind, catastrophic. Was that your point? Yeah. Okay. On your actions. I really like the Irvine. I'm glad you didn't go to Irvine, It really is a second-rate university compared to UCLA. And a degree from Irvine doesn't mean much compared to a degree from UCLA. So you were very wise in choosing the way you chose, I think. I'm a little biased, but whatever. Taking the Comm class, yes, that was. We all could relate to that. And then this not caring what other people think. I cut my hair. I don't understand this. Explain this to me. Who cares?
I was just feeling self-conscious, like whether it would look bad and like other people judging me for it. So I decided to, just like strangers judging me for it. So I decided.
You care if her hair's short? Yeah, I think it looks great. I think it's great, but I think it would look great, long, medium, short, whatever. I just didn't get it. Does your mother want it long, or I don't know who is going to condemn you? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, I'm just leave it alone. Okay. Your summary was good. Your conclusion was good, and I really liked your return to Mark Twain and your strong, be confident. Your canais. Speak more slowly. Emphasize important points using vocal variety and utilize more facial expression in your stories. How'd it go?
I think I was trying to focus on the second and third one, so I might have missed out on the first one a little bit. But I think I can improve on all the aspects.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this was a simple topic, and I think you kept it simple. What did you put in here? What did you design in that was unexpected, that would get maximum attention that you wanted, and at what point, and how did it work?
I think at the end I was trying to be unexpected, like the call to action.
Call to action at the end. Okay, that's fair. I think you're very credible. I think you were sincere in telling your stories. I think you were mostly concrete. You didn't get too abstract about the concept of confidence. That was good. What about your emotional connection? You feel you made a good emotional connection with your audience, or could you have done better?
I think I could have done better in like trying to change my facial expressions a little bit and like be
Yeah.
more empathetic.
Yeah, and I think you've got to do more than just your facial expressions. You've got to remember the felt sensing lesson from the film speech that we had. Remember when you were bullied, how bad it felt, and relive that a little so we feel it too. So, yeah, okay. Your stories I thought were pretty good. Good job, and I thought it was an authentic speech. And I think the hair thing was also unexpected. I still don't get it, but it's unexpected. So thank you, Connie. Okay, who's next? Okay, do we have another C? Yeah, we do. Right. Oh, you need a stapler. Yeah, I have one.
I ran out of staples, so I
Doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, Kenneth is not in the power stance. Yeah, wider. Yeah. He's managing attention. He's looking around the room, make sure phones are away. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're real tall, my friend. My word. My word. Ooh. Now don't go back to the wall. All back. Okay, just one more second, Kenneth. Just yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Kenneth. Okay. So your name feels a little strange.
Hi, I'm Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth.
So when you come to college, everything's really fast-paced. There are many deadlines, and you feel the need to either do it ahead of time and be very structured, or you do it the last minute, like maybe the day before, and you're constantly cramming everything into that day. So today I want to talk about why I'm personally committed to myself, 2 reasons why I am committed to myself, and 3 actions that I took. So the first reason that I am committed to myself is because at the end of the day, when you come back home, the person that you see is yourself in the mirror. And if I'm not happy with myself, then I don't think there's much effort in me trying to like constantly try in my daily life. And the story that I'm going to tell is because 3 people very close to me died when I was in high school, all within a very short time frame, almost back to back. And during that time, because like I wasn't able to pick myself up during that time because death was very new to me and I was just a senior in high school. So during that time, I had a lot of unhappiness and I wasn't in a very happy place because I felt because that unhappiness affected me, then I wouldn't be able to force myself to do as much as I could. So I wasn't in a very good place and I lost most of my drive to want to go to college and other things like that. So the second reason why I am committed to myself is because I want to have a drive for myself. And relating to that first part of the story was because I'm from a first generation low income background, And within that background, there's actually a lot of stigma to going to college because usually people can't afford to go to college, so they rather go into the working force right after high school. So I wanted to pick myself up because even though I had this hardship in my life, I wanted to be able to prove that even though I am from first generation low income background, I'm able to be stronger than that. And there's more to being first generation and low income, but there's more character to me than just being set back by things like this. So the first action I took, the three actions that I took actually, to help myself, to pick myself up and to also concentrate on myself is to, first of all, enjoy food more, because usually everyone, like, even though you think that food isn't that important, it is. But like, I took in food not as like something to enjoy, but something just to like nourish myself and quickly get back straight into work. Like after maybe an exam or like an exam is coming up, I would quickly eat while standing up in line in like a dining hall or something. But I wanted to slow myself down and allow myself to enjoy the food that I'm eating, rather than thinking of it as, oh, I need to eat, then I can go back to studying, then I'll sleep, then I'll go back to eating and then studying. But just to allow myself to slow down and just enjoy the things around me. So the second thing I did was allow myself to just be able to be fine with doing nothing. Allowing this time to do nothing is because I always felt the need that I needed to do something, or else there was really no point, basically like a busybody. So being able to immerse myself in doing nothing is allowing me to be fine with myself, be able to recuperate from either mental stress or physical stress, from all schoolwork, and just allowing me to have a fresh page and start anew. So the third action that I took was allowing myself to slow down, rather than feeling that I have to finish everything very fast or in a very structured way or else I'd be behind. I need to be able to be fine with being able to slow down, as long as I meet the deadlines, of course, but slow down, take things at my own pace, and be able to accept that I don't have to do things in a very rushed manner, but rather allowing myself to do things on my own terms. So there should be no doubt in this room that the two reasons and the three actions that I took made me very personally committed to myself. And tying back to my introduction, with everything being so fast-paced, I want to allow myself to have the time to slow down and just reflect back on what I did, rather than having to look forward constantly, but being able to immerse myself in the present, rather than always constantly thinking about the future.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay, just 1 second. Okay. Where are we? We've been there, so it would be here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Chang.
Hi, Chung.
I really liked your tone. It felt sincere and authentic. It felt like you were talking to a friend and kind of like sharing your thoughts with a friend. So I really enjoyed that kind of relationship you had with the audience.
Okay. Thank you, Chung. Improvement.
Hi, my name is Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
You lost your power stance at the first 2 seconds of starting speaking. And maybe you can rephrase some of the things, because I didn't understand your personal commitment to commit to yourself. Like at first, like you really lost me. And then like I started to understand. And yeah, maybe just like rephrase some of the things.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think I know what you mean. There was some confusion about following the structure, and there was some repetition, and there was some confusion about things. So, yeah. Okay, let me try to make things help you with this speech, Kenneth. Yeah. Well, you started with the idea that everything is kind of helter-skelter, fast-paced, right? Cram, get everything done, fast, 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 fast. Do things at the last minute. So that was your introduction, sort of this notion of being frantic. So I was looking for more of a tie back to the franticness and then saying, I'm stepping off that treadmill. I'm getting off that, or I'm not doing that anymore. Okay, so that would have been a nice bookend tie back. Okay, so your thesis was to share your personal commitment to yourself, right? And you apparently feel that you need to take care of yourself right now, that you haven't been good to yourself, apparently, and so you said that you were going to give us 3 actions, 2 reasons and 3 actions that, why this was so, right? Yeah. Next comes a significance statement, and we didn't hear that from you. So what you wrote, and it was a good one, so I want to share that with everyone. Students joke around and say pain is temporary, GPA is forever, and pain is forever, and there's some jokes to that and that sort of thing. What I was trying to get at with you skipping your significance statement was you need to relate what you're advocating to everybody else and say, maybe all of us could take a little more time to take care of ourselves a little bit more. And that would have been a good significance statement. When you have to say you or we or something like that and relate it to the audience. See, remember it's significant to the audience, not so much to you. Yeah. Okay. So on your first reason, you shared with us a very sad story that 3 of your friends passed away, I guess during high school, right? Senior in high school maybe. And you left us to infer that this was very sad for you and very devastating. I think everyone was kind of curious as to the details. You didn't have to give them or what happened, but it was a very strange and odd thing that 3 of your friends would pass away. But in any case, this was an example of where you could have made a very strong emotional connection by reliving and doing some more felt sensing about just how bad you felt and going with that. And then saying, this is why I realized that, I lost everything. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about school and work and everything, and I lost all motivation and things like that. So that's my first suggestion for your first reason, okay? On your second reason, you said, I'm personally committed to myself because I had a difficult time knowing that I'm important too, was your slug line. And then you said that you talked about the fact that, and I thought this was very authentic, that you were come from a poor family, a first generation college student, and most people in your situation go into the workforce and not to college, and you were determined to not do that, to be different, and I admire that, and that was good, yeah. And so you were essentially saying that, well, you said college is so expensive and you wanted to pick yourself up and get out of your funk and go to college, right? And so I was trying to get your reasoning on this of why commitment to yourself was going to help you get to college, but I guess that's what you were trying to say, right? Yeah. Okay. So then I also want to mention to you that when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see that your movement was a little erratic. You want to try to move on 1, 2, 3, so that it's more levelized. Then you said the actions you took. The first thing you wrote here was that you cut yourself off from people that were negative and not supportive of you, and I wish you had mentioned that, because that was probably a really important and positive thing that you mentioned, because your second and third reason were about food and about taking a break, and your third one was sort of overlapping with your second one about eating and studying and that sort of thing. So I think this is where some of your audience members got a little confused about where you were going with all your actions. Also, after you say your actions, you were supposed to say how you felt when you take these actions, and you skipped over that. So you had then comes the summer. I've given you 2 reasons and 3 actions I've taken to be committed to myself. There should be no doubt in this room I'm personally committed to myself, and then tie back to that frantic pace and say, I've gotten off the merry-go-round, and I'm going to be committed to myself. So I would make those kinds of changes, and I think that this had the potential to be a really good speech. You were very authentic in sharing these very inside things that have happened to you, the deaths and your lack of motivation. So I appreciate the authentic part of that. It was just a matter of getting this into a better structure so it was delivered a little more clearly, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any more B's? I mean C's? C's? Any more C's? I guess our work is done for the day. Return with honor. Did everyone sign the roll sheet? Okay, I can turn this off.